What's going on, guys? We're back with another Series 13 team building video, and this time we're going to take a look at Solgaleo. Now, Solgaleo, again, is one of my favorites, right? Just because of the sheer bulk that it has and the amount of offense that it can put out, especially in the Dynamax format, right? You know, Max Steelspike is really good. Max Quake is really good as well, and those boosts, you can always pass those off to your partner, right? Now, in Series 12, it was okay, right? It was a good, solid pick in Series 12. You know, it had some good, solid results, you know, across the board. But it never got that one big win, right? Where you could clearly put it in like the A tier, right? And you could say this is an A tier mon. It was more like a B plus tier mon at the end of the day in Series 12, right? It was good, but it wasn't great, right? And you know, it had a lot of problems, you know, just because it forced you when you were building a team to like really center it around Solgaleo. Whereas like something like Zacian, you don't really have to build around Zacian. You can just slap it on into something and then makes your team instantly better. You can't really do that with Solgaleo, right? Solgaleo is like a focus of team building, whereas like Zacian is not, right? You don't see anyone saying, oh, I'm gonna build around Zacian. They don't do that. What they do is they take Zacian, they slap it on their team that's already made, and then it just makes their team better. But Solgaleo, the reverse, right? You can't really slap Solgaleo on to a team. You have to like build around it, right? And I think that was a big difference in terms of like the steel types, right? So that's why it's like a B tier mon instead of like an A tier mon. But I digress. But now in Series 13, you know, you consider the weaknesses to like, you know, Yveltal and Calyrex Shadow Rider. And then to a degree stuff like Regieleki and Kyogre, and you wonder, well, how the heck do you patch up these weaknesses, right? Even Lunala is a weakness technically. So let's take a look at here. So we have Solgaleo, and what we can do, the one type of successful team that was really good was with Kyogre, right? You know, yes, there were teams back in Series 12 with like Solgaleo and Calyrex Shadow Rider, but like, yeah. But, you know, both of those are like, quote unquote, technically kind of too weak to be on the same team in this format. Especially if, like, in teams with like Yveltal and Calyrex Shadow Rider, I think it's a little bit asking for too much to put both of those on the same team. Now, I do like Solgaleo and Kyogre still, right? So why don't we just go ahead and build around this core? And this duel does well with something like Yveltal, right? Because what you can do now with Yveltal is make it a more of a supporting set this time around. And let's go with Tailwind on this Yveltal set, because now what you can do is just like for Kyogre, which likes Tailwind, likes to click Water Spout. Now you can make Solgaleo fast as well, and now you can outspeed those big threats that can really put a lot of pressure against it. Especially stuff like Calyrex Shadow Rider, even like Lunala stuff that's still running around. I think Yveltal just makes a lot of sense with this trio, right? So Tailwind Yveltal is the way we're gonna go with this kind of squad, and then from here, I think stuff like you know, just trying to get other forms of speed control, and then like maybe a fake out, a redirection user, some intimidate, right? I think that's always really nice. Believe it or not, I still think we need Incineroar on this kind of team, right? Now I had Grimmsnarl here. And I tried it out. I just think Incin just makes it a little bit better, just because like you can pivot it in and intimidate Groudon and Zacian, right? And then you have fake out stuff. You have something for Calyrex-Ice Rider teams as well, even Magearna. And I think it's important to still have Incineroar on Series 13 teams, right? So I definitely want to put it here. And then, you know, where do you want to go for in terms of like your last two slots, right? So I think just one more good aggressive Trick Room setter that can, you know, really put the clamps on this. And I think our own Lunala just makes a lot of sense here. Like Yveltal Lunala is also really strong, right? Because you can Dynamax the Yveltal, go for Max Darkness plays. Lunala and Kyogre can really benefit off the back, right? And then not only that, you do have the option for Trick Room, okay? And on this type of team, what I really want to try, and what I have been trying technically, is, you know, you consider like opposing Kyogre Water Spouts or Origin Pulses, Precipice Blades, Astral Barrages, you know, Glacial Lances, all kinds of spread move galore. And I think, you know, with something like Solgaleo and Lunala on the team, I think this is the time. It's time for the Wire Guard, right? It's time, right? Because what you can do is, you know, if you lead Yveltal Lunala, right? What you can, and if they have like stuff like Kyogre or Groudon, and they lead that, you know, Yveltal's not gonna really like that. But if you can just click Wide Guard, then you can safely get up Tailwind up, and then now Lunala all of a sudden is really, really fast and can start putting pressure, right? So I really like this. And if you can Dynamax Lunala, you can always get those defense drops, and then Solgaleo and Instinct can take it from there, right? So I do like that a lot, and I think this is the right kind of team where you can slap on Lunala with this specific moveset, right? Like, you might say Lunala and Solgaleo on the same team, that's kind of weak to Yveltal and Calyrex at the same time. Well, the thing is, with the Wide Guard, now you're not, alright? Because you can kind of take away their strongest moves, and then just focus on chipping them down with, like, you know, these behemoths, right? So I think this is the correct way to go about it. And then over here, because we're going to be going for Trick Room stuff, I think it just makes sense to have the Amoongus here, right? Because, you know, you still get that Fire, Water, Grass core. You know, Amoongus with the Lunala redirection, get up Trick Room is really, really nice. Even like Yveltal Amoongus leads, you know, just to like get up get up Tailwind. You know, if they kill the Amoongus, then you can bring in Solgaleo or Kyogre and then really, really take advantage of your speed, right? And again, you have two kinds of speed control ways. You got Tailwind and Trick Room, but then technically you also have Airstream plays from your own Yveltal, which is really, really nice. So I think this is the way to go about it, because, you know, Solgaleo, you know, if you are trying to consider, like, what else can it do for your team? What else does it add? Like, it does really well at Zacian, right? Because Kyogre doesn't want to take that play rough, neither does Yveltal. And Lunala, we're going to make it not so bulky, so it doesn't really like a Behemoth Blade that well. Amoongus can't really do anything to it, but if we have Solgaleo, it can really put the clamps on the Zacian. And our kind of moveset, along with our item, is going to help it against some other options. So stay tuned for that. But I think this is the 6 that makes a lot of sense. You can boost Kyogre with your Steel Spikes and your Quakes. Same with your Yveltal, same with the Lunala. If they get any kind of Quake and Steel Spike boost, they just sit on the field. Especially like Yveltal, right? You just click Oblivion Wing with those boosts, and then you just chip the opponent down. And, you know, they don't have a whole lot for it, right? So I think it makes a lot of sense. So let's just go ahead and reveal the GIFs here. So Solgaleo Lunala, right? We're having the Sun Moon combo. I just realized this. And then Kyogre for your big water spout plays, of course. And then Yveltal, really, really good against you know, opposing Calyrex Shadow Riders and Lunalas. And then Max Darkness Airstream plays is really good. Amoongus and Incin, you know, they give you that supporting backbone that I feel like all teams need. You know, regardless, like, you don't want to just slap a team, you know, full of 6 restricteds, right? You got to have some supporting options, and I think Incin and Amoongus just does that for this team, right? So those are our GIFs. So now let's just go ahead and go through the EVs, the items, and the movesets, and see how we build the rest of this team. Okay, so let's start with Solgaleo, and again, we're gonna go with the movesets and items first before we do the EVs, because once again, as I always say, the items and the moves always dictate the EV spreads, right? So I think Sunsteel Strike, of course, is oh wow, that sunny day. Sunsteel Strike is your mainstay, of course, along with Earthquake. Really, really nice next to Yveltal, especially because you're a flying type. And then from here, your 2 movesets, these are going to be like some complete, you know, difference makers. Wild Charge is going to be what we want here, because if you look at this, how do we beat Kyogre, right? You know, I mean, technically Yveltal can, like, you know, snarl it, or, you know, just put a little bit of pressure on it. You have Amoongus if you're running a grass move, which we're not. Then, you know, Kyogre can be a little bit tricky, right? So, but if we have Wild Charge, then I think that can that's enough in terms of patching up that kind of weakness. And then Rock Slide, of course, there's our, you know, our ability to change the weather with Max Rockfall. We can damage Yveltal this way. We can change Kyogre's weather, an opposing Kyogre, I should say. And then Charizard especially doesn't want to take a rock move from Solgaleo. So, you know, I think this is the 4 that we want on Solgaleo. And believe it or not, no weakness policy this time. I think Assault Vest is the way to go for Series 13. And this has been used on a couple of teams, and they had like coaching plays. Either it was something like Marshadow coaching to boost up Solgaleo, or if it was like Zeraora coaching to boost up Solgaleo, that's fine. I think that stuff still works. I don't think we necessarily need coaching for Solgaleo on this kind of team, because like most of the damage is going to be done by, you know, Yveltal, Kyogre, and Lunala, right? Solgaleo, you know, it's just there to like say, Zacian, I got you down, all right? But again, it's a good strong Dynamax option. And now the Astral Barrages and the Moongeist Beams and the Water Spouts and the whatever like a special Dark Pulse from another Yveltal, they're not going to do as much damage because we have this Assault Vest item, right? So I think this is the way to go about it. And then from here, let's go with Kyogre here. So again, because we have Tailwind, we're still going to go with our standard Kyogre set here with Water Spout, of course, and an Origin Pulse, you know, Thunder, right? Which is really nice. You know, whether you Dynamax Kyogre or Solgaleo, you can set the Electric Terrain, and now our Wild Charge or Thunder can do extra damage. And then, of course, Protect is really, really nice. Mystic Water, still just to deal extra water damage. You know, that being said, technically, you know, because I'm gonna be putting goggles on this, by the way, you know, just so that I don't get slept by a Venusaur like opposing Amoongus. I just realized, you know, I don't really have a Life Orb Pokemon on this team, you know, and I think it just makes sense. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's just do it like this. Let's go Life Orb Kyogre, right? I just realized this as I'm rebuilding this team for the video. I had Mystic Ward on it, but like I just realized, wait, where's my Life Orb? Here, let me just slap it on Kyogre, which totally makes sense. All right, now for Yveltal here, of course, Oblivion Wing. That's our mainstay. Oh wow, I really can't type it today. All right, and then from here, you can go Snarl. I think Dark Pulse just makes sense. A stronger Max Darkness. And here's another tech. Taunt is really, really good. You know, deny the opposing like potential Tailwind, deny the Trick Room, deny Swords Dance, deny Protects. Really, really nice to have, right? So I think Taunt Yveltal is really, really good. Incin, Shuka Berry, again, you don't want to take Max Quakes. Groudon hurts like a truck. I almost said a no-no. All right, then Flare Blitz, Fake Out, of course, Parting Shot, and Throw Trap, right? A nice Dark Stab sitting next to Yveltal, you know, with Dark Aura is really, really good. Nice synergy there. And then Lunala over here, Power, of course. All right, and then, you know, you still want your Moongeist Beam, and you still want your Meteor Beam, right? Okay, and this is a solid Lunala set, right? And then Amoongus, so Focus Sash, you know, very, very standard here with Rage Powder, Spore, oh wow. And the last one, of course, is going to be Protect. Now, again, with this, you have a few options, right? You can still go like Foul Play Amoongus, which gets boosted in Yveltal Dark Aura, but you know, it's a little repetitive. You know, you really have Yveltal and Inci. You don't really need Foul Play on your Amoongus, so that's not necessary. You can go Seed Bomb here if you really want like a secondary grass move for like Kyogre stuff. So that's an option there. Or you can go Pollen Puff, where you can like, you know, heal your options like Lunala, get your Shadow Shield back, heal your Kyogre, make sure your Water Spouts are doing a pretty good job. So yeah, you have some options. I'm gonna go Pollen Puff here, but again, there's a couple of techs that you can have on your Amoongus here, right? So I think we got them all, right? Yeah. So now what we're gonna do is now I'll show you how to what I think would be a good decent spread of EVs to put on the 6. So let's take a look, starting with Solgaleo. Okay, so with this, what I want to do with Solgaleo is, at least with Tailwind, outspeed the fastest mon in the format, which is Regieleki, right? And if you consider Regieleki with a speed of 276, right, and then you figure, well, how do I outspeed Regieleki? Again, if you just do some basic math, you can figure this stuff out, because Tailwind is +2, right? So if you take Regieleki's speed, 276, divided by 2 on your calculator, you're going to get 138. Right, and what that means is to outspeed 138, you need 139. So that's what we're gonna go for. But other mons are gonna be doing that, especially like an opposing Kyogre with Tailwind. So we're gonna go one speed over that just to like outspeed the Speed Creeper, as we like to always play that game. So here's that 139 mark. Okay, now you can go at 140 here. But honestly, what I want to do is let's just go to 204, right? And what this does is it outspeeds a modest Kyogre, right? Because if you look at this, but if you go modest max speed 142, so I want to be at least 1 point faster than my own Kyogre, and also potentially faster than opposing modest Kyogres, right? So I think that's important, because now what you can do is your Steel Spike and your Quake Boost go first, and then you can boost up your own Kyogre, and then it can go for its place. So I really like that in terms of our speed tier. So we're gonna settle for that. Now from here, we're just gonna go with the second EV bump in the Animate Nature. So here's the first one, right? 174, 176. So there's 20. So another 80 EVs. You know, if you go to 100 investment, you see how you go from 185 to 187. Another 80 EVs, you go to the third bump here to 180, and here it is, 198 stat for your attack stat, which is pretty good. Okay, and then from here, you still have 124 EVs left to play with. And again, I'm still being mindful of the special defense because we have an assault vest. We definitely want that even number so we can get the best bang for our buck with the assault vest multiplier of 1.5. If you have an odd number here like this, then 109 times 1.5, that's going to be a decimal, and that's going to round it down so we don't fully optimize our special defense that way, right? So we're still going to go for that nice solid even number here. But first, I'm going to go with 84 investment here in the HP mark. 223, that's just meant to optimize, you know, yeah, the weather damage, the wildfire, vine lash stuff. You know, I felt like just a little bit bulkier in the HP is always very much appreciated. From here, defense, just 1 point. Solgaleo is relatively bulky already in the defense department, and that's all we need to get it to an even number. So I feel like that's okay here. And then the rest just goes into special defense, and very kindly, it does give us a nice solid even number, which is what we want, right? Because of our assault vest item. And that's a very solid assault vest Solgaleo EV spread, right? And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the same EV spread as Marco Solgaleo when he made that Solgaleo team with coaching Marshawn. I think it is. Don't quote me on that. I think it is. But if you didn't know how he made it, this is how he did it. I'm sure this is his thought process, right? So there it is. There's our Solgaleo. Kyogre here. So same idea. Honestly, now because I have the life orb, I'm going to change up the spread a little bit. Let's just go to 179, and then from here, how much special attack do I want? I think this is enough, right? Where you get to 156, and again, maybe can I go 189 here? I just want to see. Oh, 188. All right, I'm a little short, but that's okay. Yeah, I think this is still okay. Let's just go 236. All right, I'm a little short. Okay, how about this? How about this? We'll just do it like this. All right, 1 point here, and then something like this, right? I think this is still okay in terms of what we want with our Kyogre, right? I'm just trying to come up with our other life orb spread on the go. Actually, let's do it like this, right? So we get another nice even number. This is okay. All right. But yeah, we hit the modest bump here with 156 investment. A little bit of life orb optimization in the HP. To 179, right? And then the rest just went into defense. Now, if you don't really want this defense, if you don't want to just dump this into special attack, I mean, go ahead. You know, it's not like it does make a little bit of a difference, but like a little bit of bulk, especially with like Intimidate on your team against Zacian is always very much appreciated, right? So I feel like this is still solid for what we wanted to do. All right, Yveltal here. So we've had like a pretty constant Yveltal spread, but I'm gonna make the change here just because sometimes what Whimsicots are doing now is they're going max HP because they don't have a focus sash, because they have that eject button nonsense with switcheroo. And if you just go like timid Yveltal with no special attack investment, you don't pick up that KO, and that's kind of sad. So what I want to do is invest a little bit more in special attack this time around and make sure that we pick up that Whimsicott KO. So timid max speed is what we want. It's still going to be there. A little bit of HP investment here. 207, again, really nice, solid number. Benchmark number, might I add. Again, a nice even number in the special defense. And 196 is actually what we need here in terms of doing the damage that we need to do. I think it's okay. Because this is a little bit more of an aggressive Yveltal, right? Not as bulky as our Assault Vest Yveltal. This is a little bit more in terms of aggression, right? Because we have Dark Pulse now, a stronger Dark move, right? And of course, you still have Oblivion Ring, right? So that's going to deal a little bit more damage. So yeah, settle for that. Now, with Incineroar, okay, so, you know, I've always had this belief in my head that, you know, if you have a faster Incin on a Trick Room team, it helps you, right? Because one, you have a faster Fake Out. Two, you have what's called a slower parting shot, which means if they go for their parting shot, they go first because they're slower. and then whatever comes in, you get the parting shot next because you know you were the faster, aka slower Incineroar. So and then you get to have the final say in the pivoting game, right? And then thirdly, you have a faster throw chop, which also means, you know, this is like besides Trick Room, you get to deny them from going for their parting shot. So there's always some merit to having a faster Incineroar, right? So that's what we're going to do again here. So we're going to go with our Careful Nature. Not as much bulk as you would think on our Incin, but enough where like it's still good, right? So I do like 116. You know, that's a lot of speed on our Incin. 95. And what this does, this hits 190 in Tailwind, and that'll outspeed some Zacians that are like slower than 190 and they're bulkier on the Adamant side, and that's kind of cool, I would say. So, you know, there's some merit there to having Incin with this speed on a Tailwind team. And then a little bit of defense here. Again, you know, this old spread with like this much HP and this much defense, this is like meant to survive the close combat after Intimidate. But, you know, that has been around for a while, but still, you can still take that Sacred Sword a little bit better. So, you know, it still works, right? Lunala here. So this Lunala, this is going to be our fast, modest Lunala. So what we're going to do is, again, max speed Lunala here, 149, which is a nice little benchmark because what it does is after a +1 air stream, you're faster than Calyrex Shadow Rider, right? And you're also faster than your own Solgaleo naturally. So if you want to go for Phantasm defense drops, Solgaleo can take advantage and deal some big damage here. And you know, not only that, you know, Wide Guard and Earthquake is actually a really, really nice combination. So I do like that a lot. But yeah, we're just going to go again with another benchmark EV bump here. See how you go from 196 to 198. So 180 investment to hit that bump. And then from here, you're just dumping the rest in defense and special defense. Again, nice even numbers. And then the remaining just goes to your HP stat. All right. Amoongus. All right. So, you know, if you want to meme, right, and because you have Tailwind, you can go max speed Turbo Shroom, okay, and then, you know, you have 180 speed under Tailwind, which is kind of funny in terms of like trying to sleep something like a Zard or a Kyogre or, you know, something. You know, it's just like kind of memey. If you want, it actually works relatively okay, right? But if you want like a bulky Shroom, then, you know, you can just take away the speed and make it function better in Trick Room. No timid. All right, I think we just want like something like this where we have a minus nature. Yeah, you want sassy. 236, you know, just to, again, for that optimization of the regenerator boost in terms of HP recovery. So this way you get a nice whole number when you pivot the Amoongus after taking some damage instead of a decimal number, which is the main idea there. All right, and then from here, honestly, again, here it is. Very standard Amoongus spread. You hit the bump in special defense, and then your remainder of EVs just go into defense mark, right? Just leftover physical defensive bulk, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we've got the squad here, and again, I've already have a couple of test games where I was showing this off, and it worked relatively well, right? It does what the team is supposed to do, right? So again, Light Orb Kyogre does a lot of damage. Solgaleo, again, very bulky, still hits hard, able to pass on those boosts onto its partner. Really, really nice. You have some nice tech choices with Wild Charge and Rock Slide for specific matchups like Kyogre or some flying types. Lunala is really good for Trick Room games, and then Yveltal is good for the other kind of speed control with Tailwind. Incin, you know, doing Incin things with intimidating, neutering the physical attackers, fake out pressure, making sure you get your own Tailwind or, you know, your own Trick Room. Good against Calyrex-Ice Rider stuff, Calyrex Shadow Rider, you know, and Zacian in general. Incin's just so good against a lot of these restricted. Can you imagine playing Pokemon without Incin? Like, how do you beat Zacian? How do you beat Calyrex? You're forced to use Landorus if you want to like land Intimidates, and Landorus is sometimes not optimal, right? So like, people that hate on Incin, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's just too good. It's the king of Pokemon, right? If you ask me for my opinion, like, what is the best competitive Pokemon? I think this is it right here. All right, go ahead and at me in the comments if you disagree. But yeah, and then Amoongus, of course, you know, your redirection support, nice grass type in the rain, and you know, just click Spore, you know, puts that pressure on the opponent and allows you to deal damage while the opponent's asleep, right? So You know, it's pretty self-explanatory on how the team functions. I think it's a cool team for what it's supposed to do. Yeah, now what we're gonna do is just actually, you know what we can do? I'm gonna show you some damage calcs with Solgaleo just so that you know you're aware of like certain threats that may potentially KO it but may not. So yeah, let's just go with that. Let's pull up the damage calc. Alright, so now let's take a look at Solgaleo against Calyrex Shadow Rider. So this is a quote-unquote assumed focus satch, like no life orb, no specs. Astro Barrage cannot pick up the KO, which is great news for me. And then even if it does max, I mean, like, what we can do is also, again, if we're max, Phantasm. Sometimes may not pick up a 2-hit KO, which is really, really nice for me. These moves, again, Max Quake is really nice in terms of boosting up our special defense. So, you know, if you manage to get that up before they click Phantasm, you know, 3-hit KOs are within the realm. But again, not completely guaranteed, but still relatively good, right? So, yeah, that's so the Shadow Rider matchup. You can take one, but you know, you're not going to take it well, but you can take one. All right, so I will say that much about Calyrex, right? So, from here, what about like Yveltal stuff? So if we just consider like a non-offensive Yveltal, right? Let's just say timid AV Yveltal, for example, with like no special attack investment. Foul Play is going to do a lot. Okay, it will do so much damage, so just be mindful of that. However, that being said, if there is some kind of, well, actually this wouldn't even matter, right? Because like, you know, that's not how Foul Play works. But if you are Dynamax, okay, at the, you know, 2-hit KO still within, you know, very much in the realm, but you know, you can take one if you're Dynamax, but if you're not Dynamax, they have a very much a favorable role because of our attack investment. So just be mindful of the Yveltal matchup. However, that being said, if they don't have that much defensive bulk, for example, if they have none, let's just say 4 rather than 68, you know, your Wild Charge or your Rockfall is going to be doing a lot to a non-max Yveltal. Now, if it was max, how much are you doing? So about 35, 41, not bad damage, you know, it's okay, I would say, but again, these max darknesses aren't doing a whole lot either. Well, again, 46, 55, but sometimes that might be all you need in terms of withering a max Yveltal down, right? So just be mindful, right? You can take a little bit, but not a whole lot. But at least it's not a one shot, right? How about Groudon, right? Groudon's another one where like it can get a little interesting. Let's just go like a Rinya Groudon, for example, right? So let's just say just regular Precipice Blade. So we survived that at the very least, so which is really, really nice in terms of that. Now, what about like a max Groudon? Of course, Quake does pick up, but then like if we're max as well, again, we'll take that max Quake decently. It's okay, but if we have a Steel Spike boost, I think we'll be a little bit okay. Yeah, see, if we already have a Steel Spike boost, if this is like second EV bump Groudon, that's not even doing 50, so that's good news for us, right? Because then we're able to deal more damage right back, right? So that's Groudon. What about like Zacian stuff? How about like Sacred Sword? Nah, like how much are we doing the Zacian? Let's go like a standard Zacian here. So no max. So Earthquake's gonna do quite a bit of damage. Sunsteel Strike, arguably the better move to click depending on the situation. But like, I'm just showing like close combat, Behemoth Blade stuff, Play Rough. Again, not a whole lot of damage going on. I'm just gonna change this to Sacred Sword. They don't even run close combat anymore. Yeah, see, like it's like Sacred Sword is his best bet. But like, if we already have like defense boost going for us, actually, it's just gonna ignore it. But either way, like if we intimidate this, let's just say, you know, how much is this really doing? Not a whole lot. So, you know, these are just things you want to like keep in the back of your mind when you're facing them on the field. So we looked at Zacian, Groudon, we looked at Calyrex, Yveltal. I guess we can look at Lunala next, see what that looks like, especially after a Meteor Beam boost. Let's just go with like the faster Lunala. This is the more common Lunala at the moment. So Moongeist Beam, all right, we'll take one. What about if it already has a +1 boost? Can we still take one after that? Okay, a little bit of a roll to KO, 25%. All right, not terrible. How about the max option? And then how about this? Okay, so Phantasm, not bad. You know, again, this is like he still has his Shadow Shield intact. Let's just say it's not okay. You know, a little bit better, not bad, but you know, again, something to be mindful of. Like, you can take it, right? You can take it, and if you can like break Shadow Shield with stuff like Yveltal and your own Incin and stuff like that, then Solgaleo can still do okay, right? Just be mindful of your position. But yeah, those are some of the damage calcs I wanted to show you regarding Solgaleo. The rest, you know, they're just meant for like speed tiers and bumps. But yeah, now let's take a look at how this functions in some practice games. Okay, so this is Magearna with Calyrex, Amoongus, Incin. See, this guy understands, right? Amoongus, Incin. You know, good supporting backbone, and then there's a Kyogre, so 3 of the same bonds, and Pheromos is here. So if Pheromos is here, that only means one thing and one thing only: potential speed swap plays. So just being mindful of that. Like the thing is, you know, if you just lead Amoongus, that strat kind of just goes to put. But you know, if he respects it, let's see. So for me, I decide to lead Yveltal and the Kyogre, right? He still goes with Pheromosa Calyrex, so I'm very surprised he still led this. Because I could have just brought Amoongus, but then again, he might say, well, you know, I could just click Glacial Lance and then, you know, your Amoongus doesn't do anything. But that being said, I think still we're okay. Now, he can go for the speed swap play, and what I'm also thinking is he does Dynamax and he goes ham on this Yveltal here. So I am kind of forced to max here just so that I can live. But then what I can do is just go for Max Darkness and then Water Spout plays, right? So I think that's my best bet here. And if he decides to go into the Kyogre, then he takes the Max Darkness and then he just dies next turn, right? So that's my thought process here. And we'll just see how he decides to play it. So there's my max, and you know, and of course he has to max. I figured there's the speed swap like I thought he would do. And we do take the Hailstorm, not well, but we do take it. And the Max Darkness is very helpful here. That does so much to Calyrex. And, you know, Water Spout just honestly just cleans up here. And again, this is still my Mystic Water Kyogre. No Life Orb yet. But yeah, and now he has his own Kyogre and his own Amoongus, which is very interesting. But, you know, Airstream just to put some pressure on the Kyogre. I felt like I should have targeted the Amoongus. But, you know, he didn't click Airstream. He's probably just going for the Sleep play on my Kyogre. He does clean up the Yveltal, but, you know, still okay. All right. I bring out my own Amoongus for that matter. And I'm still going to try and put pressure on this Kyogre. So he reveals Ice Beam, right? So he has the Ice move instead of the Electric move. And I go for the same play and score in his Kyogre slot. So this is still okay in terms of what we're doing. Again, he has Pollen Puff to heal his Kyogre. Well, I have my own Pollen Puff to heal my Kyogre, which is really, really nice. And because I have the speed advantage, right? My Water Spout is going to be going first eventually, right? So I'm just waiting for that moment until it comes. But, you know, this Amoongus is staying relatively healthy. I know he's going to wake up this turn, which is why I switched into Solgaleo. Water Spout does a whole lot there. And there it is, right? And this is why the pivot is so nice. And then from here, I was a little afraid that the Amoongus would live, which is why I also went for Rock Slide in case he was able to get out for Rage Powder. But yeah, again, Water Spout not doing a whole lot, and of course he has to forfeit, right? So Dynamax Yveltal with Kyogre did a lot of damage there. It stopped Pheromos and Calyrex, and then our Solgaleo can just clean up from the back here with Wild Charge, right? So yeah, let's just take a look at another. Okay, so this is like Tailwind stuff. Again, he's got Marshadow, he's got Zeraora. One of these things has a Scarf or a Focus Sash, and probably one of them may have Coaching. I don't think you would want Coaching on this team though, right? I think it's just relatively standard Tailwind stuff. I don't know why there's a Gastrodon there. I feel like he could just do a lot better with a Kyogre in that team. All right, but he has a Gastrodon here instead. So we'll just play it as we see. So he goes with Whimsicott Calyrex, so a very hyper offensive lead. Here's Yveltal and here's Lunala, right? So this is where something like Wide Guard is really good, and then we can just click Tailwind on our Yveltal. Now, I'm surprised he may even like switch, but he chooses to stay in, right? Which is very astonishing to me, I would say, right? Because we can just kill this Calyrex right here. Goes for the taunt. He probably thought I was going for Trick Room, and that's why he had sub, so he wanted to stay alive against you know, our Yveltal sub. So I decided to just max the Lunala here. I do want to still take this Astro Barrage. I don't take it well. And he is Life Orb, so that's honest. That's why it did so much. I don't know about Life Orb Calyrex. I don't think that's correct. But he loses the Calyrex here. And now he brings in Marshadow. I don't want to just die to like Spectral Thief or Shadow Sink, so I'm just going to go into Instant here and just deal a little bit more damage. Moonblast, we do take one Moonblast. See, this is what I mean, right? Because, you know, the O-Wings, alright, good against Whimsicott, but that special attack just really hurts. But Fake Out able to pick up there, which is really, really good. I'm surprised he just clicked Spectral Thief. So again, Yveltal doing what Yveltal does best, just staying on the field, being really annoying, chipping away at the opponent. We've already picked up 2 KOs, and there's the Zacian here, and we do have Vincent again. So I'm just gonna like intimidate this thing to death. I'll give him the Yveltal if he decides to go for it, or the Lunala, but he did not. So did go figure, but this is still fine because the Tailwind is gone, and now we have Solgaleo, and now we're in a really, really good spot. I just want to stop Zacian here and just go for the Marshadow. Like, he's faster, but he's not going to kill me, of course. And, you know, Sunsteel Strike just picks up from here, right? And now he has to stop Instant and Zacian, and he can't really do that. So we just Sunsteel Strike and then just simply Flare Blitz, and that's pretty much the game. So, you know, interesting play by the Taunt Whimsicott, but, you know, honestly, he didn't even max. I thought he would just, like, max the Marshadow in this game. I was asking you about it in the chat, but I guess he forgot. But either way, this Marshadow took so much damage that I don't think it would have mattered. But let's take a look at another. Alright, so this is another dual weather team with Whimsicott, and he's got Lunala, so that's also kind of interesting with that. So putting pressure on Solgaleo, of course, but again, you know, our Kyogre can do well against his team. So can our Lunala, but I think Instant's also relatively good, right? So again, I still go with Yveltal and Lunala here. He goes with Whimsicott and Zacian, which is also very interesting. So I have a chance to go for either Trick Room or Tailwind. I'm just going to neuter this Zacian. Alright, and I do get this call right. He does crit me with the Behemoth Blade. I do want to get some good chip damage on this Whimsicott here and bring it down to Satra, which is nice. And I figured he would do that, right? I figured he would go for Trick Room because I'm looking at his team. How else can he like do this, right? So that's why I didn't go for Trick Room, because he might try to flip my Trick Room. So great on him for setting that up for me. And now we're just gonna remove his Whimsicott, and now he can't click Tailwind next turn. So Behemoth Blade, you know, chipping my Shadow Shield, but still fine. Groudon maxes, but that just means we get to Parting Shot it, which is exactly what we do. And now what we can do is, you know, in case he goes for Quake on the instant slot, but he did not. He went for Lunala instead. So good play by him, but he just loses the Zacian anyway. So that's good news for me. And now all he has left is Kyogre. So we have Instant, we can sack it and just intimidate the Groudon one more time and just deal a little bit more damage into Kyogre. He's trying to boost his Kyogre up a little bit. You know, that's the correct way to do it. But, you know, Lunala is just putting out so much damage here. And we do hang on, which is kind of funny. And here comes Yveltal here. So we'll max guard, we'll save our Lunala one more turn. And we'll just get a little bit more chip damage here. But we do go for Tailwind because I have a Kyogre in the back, right? And that's really what I'm going for here. I'm just going to try and chip the Kyogre and Groudon just a little bit more, especially because Groudon is +2. So I was afraid that my own Kyogre wouldn't be able to pick it up, which is why I went for the play that I did. But now we just bring in Kyogre under Tailwind, Water Spout, and everything dies, and that's it, right? So Tailwind Yveltal, really, really good. And again, you kind of have to play the mind game a little bit, especially if they lead Whimsicott. But yeah, still pretty good. Let's look at one more. This one was another interesting one, right? So like there's I think there's a Riolo there, so like you know, Prankster, Copycat, Trick Room stuff, and then there's Necrozma-Dusk, man. I think that's a little bit better this format, right? Because like there's not as much Instant running around, but we have Instant. So he's got Lapras. I'm surprised to see Lapras here. I don't know if that's correct. I think there's better options there, but you know, that being said, we use Lapras, but not on the team like that. So Amoongus and Yveltal here, Joe, just in case he wants to like try and do like Trick Room stuff, I can always taunt, and then I can always click Spore, and you know, Yuleki's is over here probably wanting to deny my Spore. So, you know, the thing is with Necrozma, I'm afraid of like Swords Dance stuff as well. So I decide to taunt it anyway. So I'm just gonna redirect, I'm gonna click taunt, you know, just in case, whether, I don't think he clicks Trick Room, but you know, just in case, right? So there's the taunt, and there's a Photon Geyser, so that's gonna remove my Amoongus, but that's okay, right? Because now what I can do is go into Solgaleo, and now I can go into Instant, intimidate this Necrozma, and I can max the Solgaleo. He'll probably take out my Incin because he wants the Yveltal, because, you know, that's exactly what he wants to do. And we'll just take away his Dynamax, and now we're in a really, really good spot, right? So we sacrifice Incin and Amoongus, but now we're in a really nice spot. We have the terrain, we have max lightning pressure on his Kyogre. There's the Calyrex, but that's okay. Because now what we can do is go for Tailwind. We're faster than Kyogre now, and it just dies to Max Lightning. So really, really nice. And here comes Necrozma once again. They're both very susceptible to, you know, Yveltal. I'm going to do a better job against Necrozma in the end game rather than Calyrex, because Yveltal can stick around for a little bit longer, right? So you see the defense boost really paying dividends there, right? Because that Sunsteel Strike would have did more than half, but you know, now he just can't beat the 2-on-1. He'll pick up the Yveltal now because we proc policy, but like, how does he beat Solgaleo in the end game? Right, we're just faster, and we have the bulk on our side, and that's how we do it, right? So for good battles, you know, pretty much relatively low ladder stuff, but again, just to show that the team does work, you know, and it just, you have to like understand, look, if you can get your speed control up, and if you can get Solgaleo in a good position to do what it needs to do, it does fine, right? But Yveltal is really, really good, as is Lunala. They all have like good functionality. They all help Kyogre in some shape or form, right? Which is all you can really ask for in Series 13, right? So yeah, let's look at the pace one more time and get you guys out of here. So yeah, there's the pace. Go ahead and give it a go if you're curious and you want to try and make Solgaleo work. I think I'll save this for, you know, October rental, right? Because that's the last month of Series 13. I think it's a pretty solid squad for what we wanted to do. You know, you don't always have to run mythicals, right? You know, just having an extra restricted is really all you would want in terms of like, you know, patching up certain weaknesses or applying pressure where you really want it to apply pressure. You got a good supportive backbone with Incin, Amoongus, and to an extent Yveltal, right? You got speed control options, you know, Tailwind, Trick Room with your Lunala and Yveltal, right? And then Solgaleo is a good Dynamax option. Kyogre doesn't have the Dynamax. You can just click Water Spout and it's just kind of chilling. So yeah, go figure. Let me know what you think of this squad, and we'll be back with another Series 13 video in the next one. Peace out and have a good night.